Hey everyone, it's Daphne from Scrap and Create, and we're back today to continue working on Le Romantique, which is a graphic 45 DCE, which was just recently released. And today we're going to work on page 7. Okay, so page 7 has the same mechanics as page 2, so we've already seen it before, but it's going to be a mirror image. So on page 2, we installed this flap to the left. On page 7, we're going to install it to the right. And by the way, it'll work either way. I just like the mirror image, and this flap, I want it to actually open away from the spine. So the spine is on this side. There's my page 7 indicator, and I didn't put my spine, but my spine is there, and it's going to go like this, and there's my page 8. So, having said all that, I've got all my components trimmed out, I think. And so we're going to do some dry fitting and double checking. But like I said, there's nothing new here. I'm going to go over the measurements again. For this page, we are going to use a tag, and I'm using the Graphic 45 tags, which come 8 to a pack, and so far I've only used 2 in this design, and by the way, can easily be replaced with something you trim out on your own. But I do think I'm going to actually use a couple more when I go back through the embellishment phase. Okay, so we're going to use one of those, and I die cut the mat to fit perfectly, so I'm going to set that aside. In page 2, you saw me kind of fussing around trying to decide what the mat would be for it in the open and closed position, and I went ahead and did all that off camera, so this video will go a little bit smoother. Also, as you know, when we get to the second iteration of any particular flap design, it always goes a little bit faster for both of us. Okay, so having said all that, I'm going to set my designer papers aside, and the first thing we're going to do is install this large flap, which is 4.5 by 8. We're going to score a 1/2 inch on the 4.5 inch side, and we're going to install it away from the spine toward the pocket insert, and I'm just dry fitting to make sure it's going to fit square on the pocket page and not have anything hanging off the edges that'll get snagged. And it looks good, so I need to get some tape on it. I'm using my 3/8 inch score tape, which if you're a mini maker and you use 1/2 inch score lines like I do, it's kind of a must. A 1/2 inch score tape is a little too wide, so 3/8 leaves a little of the flap exposed, but nothing goes over, which is more important because you don't want it grabbing where you outside of the hinge area. Okay, I'm gonna burnish that in place real quick. And I feel like I have a sneeze coming on, so that may happen here in a second. And I apologize in advance. All right, so again, we're installing this on the outside edge, the outside insert edge of page 7. Here's my spine, here's my outside edge. It's going to get applied, so if this was the spine, it's being installed on the right hand side. I'm going to pinch down one corner and use that as my pivot point to straighten it up. All right, there we go. That is in. Pretty easy. So the next thing that goes in is, and I got a little tag hanging off here. I'm going to trim that off real quick. And when I say little, it was really quite small. But those little edges can sometimes grab. Okay, this gets installed, and I trimmed it out to fit on the pocket page. And as you know, once you install a hinge, it can get a little crowded. So I'm just making sure if I need to trim anything off, now is the time. And I think it's going to close fine, so I'm going to leave it as is. It's already inked. If you haven't inked yours, go ahead and do that. And this is going to just get laid directly down. I'm sorry, I was pausing because I had to think about magnet placement. And we're okay. It's going to go onto the envelope that goes on top of the page. So if you recall on page 2, I forgot to put the magnet in on this side, so let's try not to do that this time. I'll try to stop myself before that happens. Okay, so I'm just gonna put a little X on the back of here. On this side to help me remember that I need a magnet there so I don't accidentally cover it up before we do that. Okay, so this is the little faux envelope that's going to get installed down here. So I've trimmed out the pieces, and this time I forgot to do this trim piece in page 2 before I attached it to the page, and this time I did it in advance. So I'll go over that again real quickly, but once you trim this piece out to fit so that whatever your border size is, in my case it's a 1/16 of an inch, once you do that, before you square around your corners, push everything flush to the corner edge, chomp it, scoot it over, do the same thing on this side, chomp it, and then when you center it, it'll fit perfectly. It'll fit just beautifully, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and start by laying this piece down because my plan is to have a magnet on the inside. So let's go ahead and get this down. One less piece of paper floating around. Good. Okay. Now I know I don't have a magnet here, so we can go ahead and get that down. And this is what I've planned here. We're going to leave this bare, although I've trimmed out a piece for it. I'm not going to cover it yet because I need to put a magnet here. Okay, and then this is the piece that I planned here. And it looks like it's trimmed out perfect. Okay, so now I need to make some decisions about magnet placement. And we have to consider how this flap is going to operate and where this is going to land. Because we're trying to put a lot of things in place, so we want to make sure there's no interference and that there's enough grab for the magnet. So I think I want to do, this is going to, come down about to here. And this will come over a little. Okay, so I think that's what it's going to look like roughly. Okay, I think so. Okay. So, I think I'm going to do, this is going to be a little bit different than the first one. I think I'm going to try to place my magnet further over so I can actually put the magnet on behind this mat instead of attached to this ephemera piece. So, okay, so what I need to do is I'm going to leave these off, but I can go ahead and glue this down. And then once I do that, I can actually put the whole envelope onto the mat. Okay, definitely this. There we go. Nice, already trimmed out, ready to go. So I think I'm going to put this about right here. And when I say about right here, I think it's from the white, not from the mat, but from the edge of the pocket page, it's about 1/2 inch in. So about 1/2 inch here and 1/2 inch here. So that's what we're going to do. So what I'm planning to do is just adhere 3 of the 4 sides so that behind this envelope will be a pocket. So I'm only applying glue to the sides and the bottom. Like so. And then, like I said, I'm going to come down. I'm not measuring it, I'm just eyeballing it, about 1/2 inch up from the bottom and 1/2 inch. I said that. It's less than 1/2 inch. Less than 1/2 inch. It's pretty snug. And part of that's because when I have it all closed, I want this tag to be kind of overexposed so I can get this on without interference. So that's partly why I want this envelope so far over. Just so you know what my design considerations were. And the reason I want it low is because I want to be able to put a 4x6 photo here as well. Okay. So I want this, I'm going to try to hold this in place and get it down. And then I want to put my tag in the pocket so visually I can see where to place this embellishment piece right here. So that's why I want it like so. And I think that's about it. Okay, so if that is the case, the envelope goes to about right here. So I'm actually going to put my magnet right there. I'm going to try to figure out how to place it here. Let's do that. Let's try a couple things. So as long as I can cover it on this side, I think it's going to be, oh, it's being drawn to something already on the other side of the paper, I think. Yeah, there's some magnets in the middle of the page. I'm going to draw a little reference line. So I know that the magnet placement needs to be above this line. So it needs to be above this line because that's where the flap is. So roughly in the middle, and that way the magnet will be placed in the middle of the top flap. And then I want to come over as far as possible. So I'm thinking right about there is where it's going to need to be. So let's give that a shot. And it's misbehaving because of the magnet on the other side. So I'm gonna get okay, that looks like it's far enough over. And now I can figure out where that needs to be. And because of all the layers, I'm doing 3 magnets. I need my fat tape and I don't see it. Here it is. Okay. Oops. Okay. So I'm just putting the opposing magnet there and pressing down. I probably should have turned my tape the other way. And it's gonna be covered. Okay, and now we need one more magnet. Sorry, it's a little confusing. I hadn't really thought this through too much before we started working on it. Okay, now this will hold this flap. Okay, there we go. So there's a total of 3 magnets there. One holding the top flap, one holding the envelope flap. All right, okay, now that those are placed, we can get our paper in. So I did the top. This is what comes next. So I'm gonna make sure my tape's not exposed. And it's not. We're good to go. Okay, this goes here. Perfect. Okay, lovely. And then as you recall, we've trimmed out this tag. It's going to fit snugly in here, and I want to put that in there because now we're going to work on the final placement for this piece of this decorator card, ephemera card, whatever you want to call it, cut apart. And I'm trying to decide how I want this placed. I think I want it a little more toward the top, like so. And so I, looking at everything, considering everything, and it turns out, I mean, I can have that stamp partially exposed, or I can just try to cover up that one stamp, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. So as same as on the previous one, I think I'm gonna plan to adhere 3 of the 4 sides. So behind here will be a little tuck spot as well. And now, so by the way, I'm much happier with that magnet placement because it's not, I don't have to fight so much to figure out how to get it behind here. And having said all that, I can go ahead and put a strip behind here of some coordinating paper to cover that white. And then I can also go ahead and add this, which goes here. Okay. Okay, so that's in. Now I need to place this card. So I'm going to go ahead and find, let's see. So I need a strip about 1.5 inches wide. So I'm going to find something to put there. And I want it to coordinate with what's exposed. So I can do butterflies. Let's see. Let's see what I have in my stash. I can pull the green in again. Actually, I kind of like that. I think that's what I'm going to do. So originally, I trimmed this piece out to go here, but I'm not liking that. So I think I'm going to add this green, and that makes for a nice spread. So let me see if this is wide enough. This is not wide enough. So I need about 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches, both places. Okay, 1 5/8 should fit perfect, and it does. It's a little too long. There we go, that's perfect. I need to round my corners. Which I had done earlier on the other trim piece, but changed my mind, so there we go. I'm liking that a lot better. And then 1.5 inches here. And that should be enough. Might even be, yeah, that's plenty. Let's see. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to ink these and get them down. I'm going to add this strip to the card before I lay the card down. keep forgetting to put the cap on my glue, which is not a good thing because it's so dry here. Okay. I'm looking for my ink. That's why I'm stalling. It's in, here it is. I was gonna say it's right in front of me. I just can't see it. Done. We are almost done. See how much faster the second one goes? It's always amazing to me. I look at the timestamp on the first time I put one together and then the second time, and it's got to be at least 30% less time, maybe even more. I learned so much on the first installation. Okay, let's go ahead and get this down. And I need to do a little housekeeping because it's too much stuff everywhere. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and take this tag out to make it easier to burnish this into place. Doesn't that look pretty? I'm so happy. I'm pleased with this page. This is the last page I designed in the book. The last flap designs. I do it out of order. A lot of times I design page 4 and 5 first, the center of the book, and then work my way out. Okay, just making sure I'm putting this down on the right side, and that's the side that's going to be exposed when we open it. Okay, so let's get that tag in where it belongs, and then let's figure out where to put this. And I think that looks good. So I am going what am I gonna do? Okay, we're doing 3 out of 4 sides. And straightening it out. Looks good. So I was just looking for an even edge there, and that looks good. Flip it over. Make sure I got glue all the way to the top. And I did. And now we have a nice little tuck spot in there too. I'm just holding that closed, and I'll find a little something to stick in there right now. Okay, just to remind me when I come back that there's something going on there. All right, there we go. There is page 7. We're all done with page 7. Okay, I will be back soon to wrap this album up. I think I probably have 2 more videos, but I'm not sure. And for sure, I'll be back to do some more pages. And I started working on the cover as well. And I think, I don't always do this, but I think for the cover, I'm actually going to walk through, I'm going to fussy cut a bunch of stuff, but I'm going to walk through the actual installation because it seems like I get a lot of requests for that. And people don't go back and look at the walkthrough. So I think I might actually do the application of all the design elements on the cover and do a video of that as well. Thanks everybody for tuning in. This is Daphne from Scrap and Create. And we've got another page done in our La Romantique album. And I'll be back soon to do some more work on this album. Thanks for tuning in. This is Daphne from Scrap and Create. If you haven't already done so, take a moment and subscribe. See you soon.